man, all we do is win. Woo! About to make chubby fellas cool again. That ain't happened since Escobar. It's friends and family, who the rest of y'all? My God! Woo! Misfits on the shame, man, that's the campaign. Man, I've been shining way before I had a change. Still got one, what the heck am I saying? Ever since I met God, man, never been the same. Now I got the big picture in the mind frame. And I came up in the game, but I remain me the same. Cause I kept the letter E out of the word fame. That's friends of the family, yeah. Do it for the friends of the family. What else? Friends of the family, yeah. Do it for the friends of the family. Who else? Friends of the family, yeah. Do it for the friends of the family. Friends of the family. You don't know them, you don't know me, damn. Friends of the family. Do it for the friends of the family. Friends of the family. Come on. Do it for the friends of the family. Who else? Friends of the family. Do it for the friends of the family. Friends of the family. You don't know them, you don't know me, man.
Oh man, the brothers got the game smothered, so we hit the road, switching lanes over. This game over, and we ride till he say over. Rap game hits your makeover. Still three amigos when the day's over.
You don't know them, you don't know me, man. Friends of the family. Do it for the friends of the family. Friends of the family. Do it for the friends of the family. Who else? Friends of the family. Do it for the friends of the family. Friends of the family. You don't know them, you don't know me, man. You don't know them, you don't know me, no.
check. Today. Josephine, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good, that is good to hear. It is so good to see everybody after months of quarantine. It is an awful feeling to just be away from all your friends and some of your family, man. It's an awful feeling, but it's great to be back. Great to see all your beautiful faces. I am JR, and
my name is Josephine.
And we are so excited to see everyone again.
Yes. As people are trickling in, yes, come grab a seat. Welcome, everybody. We are so excited. We can't say enough how excited we are.
Yeah.
We got a ton of different things for you guys today. We're doing things a little different, as you can tell. We're up here.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a good night. It's going to be an exciting night.
It's gonna be a very
Pastor
exciting
Darrian's going to bring you the word.
Yes.
It's going to be
Yes,
so
he is.
good.
It's going to be a very, very, very jam-packed night. Guys, there are many, many ways that you can stay connected to us, but the best way is through our website, our website is at praisechurch.tv. That is where you can fill out your next step card, you can request prayer, and you can find out anything and everything you want to know about Praise Church and how we do things. It's a great opportunity, it's a great way, to just stay connected to us.
Yeah. And I see a lot of new faces here. Like, this is awesome. I see so many new faces. And the best way for you guys to know everything PYA is to follow us on our social media handles.
Follow us on social
so
media.
we got Twitter,
All of it.
Facebook,
All of it.
Instagram,
All of it.
YouTube.
Perfect.
Yeah. So you want to like and subscribe and hit the bell so that you can know all the videos that are going to be uploaded, because that's where all the events and all the cool stuff is going to be going on there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead and follow us on social media. That's also a great way to just be connected to us and figure out when's the next POA, what's going to be there. And if you miss a message, YouTube is a great opportunity for you to just go back and watch it there. Guys, so like we said, things are a bit different. Things are a bit different this service, and things are going to be a bit different this summer. So this summer regarding Praise Youth, they're having their 4-day conference here on site, and that's going to be super, super exciting, super cool. That's going to be on July 22nd through the 25th. That's 4 days, and it's going to be super awesome. But it's going to be very hard for that to happen without the help of us PYA Praise Young Adults. Guys, we want you to go out there and serve and have as much fun as the Praise Youth kids are having at that conference. Guys, if you are if you're interested in serving in that conference, go ahead and talk to your small group leaders and they will get you plugged in.
And if you love your small group,
hey,
let us know.
Let us know if you love your small group real fast. Yeah, awesome, man. That's cool.
We are a ministry of small groups, guys, and we believe that spiritual growth happens through small groups.
Does.
We will say this over and over and over again. You need to join a small group. And this is the first summer where PYA is actually doing small groups in summer. So this is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal.
We got a ton of new groups. We got a men's basketball small group. They're going to be meeting here and playing basketball. Yeah, Isaiah is heading that up. We got an all-women small group. We got an all-men small group. We even have, we see girl gang. We have
so many different
couple small groups. Guys, we have everything that you would probably want.
Yeah,
and probably more.
Just about everything you want. And we want you guys to sign up. Josephine, why don't you tell them where to sign up?
We have a couple ways for you to sign up. You can go to the kiosk. There's a couple tablets out there. We have some small group leaders who are going to help you get signed up and to figure out which one is the best fit for you. And then also you can go to our social media and you can click on our bio and you can sign up through the link on our bio.
Perfect.
And if that's not enough, you can go to praisechurch.tv/PYA and sign up for a small group that way.
Look at that. Perfect.
Yeah.
Small groups is such an awesome way for you to stay connected, get community around you, and just have fun. Through your young adult life, just having fun. And with that being said, guys, that is going to be bringing it close to our host segment. But like we said, things are a bit different this time around. This service is a bit different. Summer's a bit different. Everything's different now, but it's a good different. So I'd like to take this time just for this moment is to honor you, Josephine. We want to honor you as this being one of your last POAs. So I'd like to bring Darren and Jimmy up here with me. And
come on. If you love Josephine, you better start screaming right now. Come on. Listen, we love to honor people around here, and one of the things that I think is a beautiful way to honor Josephine is Josephine and I were able to be in PYA leadership for the last year and a half. And it's actually amazing now that we've handed off leadership over to Pastor Darrian. And Josephine's last day on staff at Praise Church was just a few days ago. And so we're here just to say that we are here today as a ministry because of the effort that you put in, the organization that you put in, the leadership that you have. And we love you so much. And more than that, There's nobody on this planet who has inspired me to be a man of prayer
100%.
like you. So I love you. Thank you for everything that you've done. Darrian, what do you want to say?
Yeah. Josephine.
What?
Josephine, I want to say, for you guys that don't know, 2 years ago I moved to Southeast Texas. I knew nobody. The first person in Southeast Texas to get to know me on a really personal level and take me somewhere was Josephine and Wayne, wherever Wayne's at. And it's incredible to think that you guys welcomed me in and now I'm welcoming you out. Not that you're leaving, but to say that you have welcomed me and loved me and cared for me and prayed for me and been a friend to me for the last 2 years. And to get a chance to work with you for the last 3 or 4 months has been a blessing. And it's been really incredible to watch your leadership, to watch your heart for people, to watch the way that you pour into girls, and to watch the way that you pour into this ministry hour and hour, way past part-time hours. And you've really just been an amazing friend and also just a massive blessing in my life. And so I just want to say publicly that I love you. I'm thankful for you. You're incredible.
Yeah.
You're the best leader I know.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we're going to move into a time of worship. And the song that we're going to sing is My Testimony. And Josephine, this song right here, I think speaks so beautifully to your testimony, just as a Christ follower, and the way that you live your life, and the integrity and the ability you have to just break down walls and barriers. So I pray that you guys sing this song with the ability to say, like, this is our testimony. So let's worship, guys.
Let's go, PYA. Let's have some fun. Let's worship.
All right, PYA, we're back. This is called My Testimony. If you know it, help me out. Let's thank God for raising us from death to life and giving us a testimony. Amen. All right, that's what I like to hear. Let's sing this out. Come on. I saw Satan fall like lightning. I saw darkness run for cover. But the miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. I believe in signs and wonders. I have resurrection power. Yes, I do. The miracle that I just can't get over, my name is registered in heaven. Oh, my praise belongs to you forever. This is my testimony from death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify by Jesus Christ the righteous. I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Together, sons and daughters, bought with blood and washed in water. Sing the praises of the Spirit, Son and Father. Our God will finish what He started. Sing that again, come on. Oh, our God will death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify by Jesus Christ the righteous. I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. From death to life. 'Cause grace rewrote my story. I'll testify by Jesus Christ the righteous. I'm justified. This is my testimony. This is my testimony. Let's give him a shout of praise tonight. One, two,
Come on, has God done anything in your life that you're willing to say, I have a story
Yeah.
of God working in my life? Anybody got that? So, 2020 is like a crazy year, right? It's a crazy year for a lot of people. And I know for me personally, in 2005 was my first paid position to be in pastoral ministry. So I've been in this thing for 15 years. 15 years of ministry. And I've kind of always had this picture of the church, right? And I get the picture of the church from this place in Revelation where it talks about what it's gonna look like one day in perfection.
Yes.
Because right now we're kind of living in brokenness, what it's gonna look like in perfection. And that picture says every tribe, every nation, every ethnicity will be standing around the throne lifting up the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
And then I also have this part where Jesus teaches us, like, we're in between perfection and Jesus saving us, and it's like, we're supposed to pray, your kingdom come, your will be done. And when I pray your kingdom come, I've, like, in the most awkward way in the last few years, has always had this picture of, like, if there are only white people in this church, we're not doing anything right.
Yeah, it's good.
Because if that's what the kingdom looks like, it shouldn't be just white.
Yeah.
And so that's always been my heart. And if you've been around Praise long enough, the 7 years that I've been here, it's been my heart. And I've awkwardly led us through that. Like, if I'm just honest, I remember seeing Jen Lewis the first time at Chick-fil-A being like, hey, you got colored skin. I want you to come to PYA. Like, this is what the church is supposed to look like. And I've always kind of struggled because I'm like, I didn't choose this skin color, but God has given me a heart. And God has given me like a mandate to say, this should look differently than just what you have and what your skin color is. And then I also know what it's like to come to church and be like, how do I worship? How do I talk to God when I'm so frustrated with everything that's happening in the world right now? Yeah. So that's why we're going to start at the beginning of this thing and say, I want you to hear this clearly out of my mouth with no mixed words. Black lives matter.
Yeah, Jimmy, yeah.
I want you to hear that loud and clear from your leadership here today. And until Black Lives Matter, there's no way we can say all lives matter. Until we say at this time, in this season, there is a hurting people, a hurting group of people who didn't choose their hurt, didn't choose their oppression. But we can choose to do something about it, amen? And like literally, I was at Exogen the other day, right, working out. And I'm on the elliptical. And I'm listening to Mike Todd, and I literally was just crying on the elliptical. And I'm like, people think it's sweat. I'm good. There's no way. Like, and all I know is I'm broken. Yeah. Because as much as it's my heart to say, how do I help? I don't have all the answers. I know the answer, Jesus, right? I don't have all the answers. But it's so interesting to me that a few years ago, I prayed, your kingdom come, which meant in my brain was this picture of people of all different colors and ethnicities and bringing so much culture to this church, being a light in Southeast Texas, that I believe that, and I want to say this publicly, that you are an answer to that prayer. That our pastor is an answer to that prayer. I want you to know, like, I'm the next gen pastor, he's the POA pastor. But I want you to know over the last year and a half that I've known Darrian, he is one of the most incredible people that I know. His character, his love for people, his love for Jesus, his love for his wife, the way that he chose. And it's just, and I don't know what it's ever going to be like to stand in your shoes as a black man, but I promise you I'll always stand next to you. I promise you that. And I want to publicly say, tonight, don't run away from God with this trouble. Don't ignore it. Literally bring it to the altar tonight and say, God, I need help with this burden. And I also want to let you know that I don't know how to lead you through this, but God has gifted us with a man who can. God has gifted us with a young man who I believe in was the character, the leadership, the drive, the love for Jesus. I've invited him to lead me on a personal level, and I'm inviting you to lead us as a church, especially in the next generation, on how do we as a church make sure that Black lives matter. Make sure that this church looks like the church in Revelation of the picture of the future of all cultures and ethnicities, lifting up the name of Jesus. And I want to let everyone know publicly, I submit to your leadership in this area, and I welcome your wisdom and your leadership, and I can't wait to see how we make a difference in Southeast Texas and how this changes our world. So y'all, let's let Darrian
So, I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, in the Southeast, where racism is kind of just a part of the way it is. And I went to an all-white, pretty much predominantly all-white elementary, middle school, and a really diverse high school. But it wasn't until I really got maybe 16, 17 years old where I realized that I was probably seen a lot differently than I thought I was perceived as. And the reality of it is that I am Black. And most of you guys in this room are white. And so color is real. We can no longer say we don't see color because I'm Black and a lot of you guys are white. And this might be honestly really hard in saying this, and I'm gonna say it as honest and as gracefully and as peacefully as I can possibly, but the only way that it's really gonna stick is if you just say it. And so right now, I'm hurting. I'm not hurting because you guys are racist, because I don't think all white people are racist, and Black people do not think all white people are racist. So don't believe the narrative that it's an us versus them thing. That is not true. I love white people. My wife is white. My best friends are white. And majority of Black people love white people. But there are Black people that don't like white people. They are racist. And it is sin at its deepest root. It is a sin problem. And white people who do not know or do not like Black people, that is sin. That is racism at its core. And there are years and years of aggression and heartbreak and sadness because people of my skin color are dying for the opportunity for their voice to be heard. And I'm not expecting for anybody to be Black or to act Black or walk through it. But what I'm asking for and what I believe that Black people are asking for is for you, if you're white, any other color, to listen. Yeah. I promise you. I promise. Black people right now are rioting and looting and going crazy and things that I do not agree with. But they're doing them because they want to be heard. And so when I was a kid growing up, I would get so mad at my mom because I was like, Mom, you're not hearing me. You're not listening. And my voice would get louder and louder and louder, and to the point where I said, I don't even want to talk to you anymore. I'm going in my room. And that is where black people are at right now. They're so angry that they just are yelling and screaming to the point where they're doing things that they probably shouldn't. And I don't agree with it, but I'm asking you on behalf of the black skin, culture, color, to listen. And on the most practical level ever, if any of you have black friends, the best thing that you can do right now is call them, you can text them, and just say, I want to listen. That's all that people want to hear right now. And the reality of it is that there's sympathy and empathy. I'll never be able to relate with somebody who lost their parents. I'll never be able to put myself in the shoe of somebody who lost their mom, because I don't know what that feels like. But the moment that I know of one of my friends who lost somebody, I want to pick up the phone and say, what can I do? I'm here for you. I have empathy. Meaning that I don't know what the next step is, but I'm willing to get in your area, get in your mess, get in your dirt, and say, I want to hear you. And so I'm asking, as a black man in Southeast Texas, as the pastor, as the friend, as a stranger, just to listen. Ask. I will be glad to sit here and tell you about what it's like to be a black man in America. And I promise you, it's a lot different than what Twitter says. It's a lot different than what Instagram says. But if you sit down and have a conversation, I promise you, you might see the other side. You might flip the page and say, maybe black people aren't so bad. And black people, you have to listen also. You gotta sit there, and you can't get angry, you can't get mad, because they are expecting and trying to hear you for what you are, but you gotta listen also. It's both sides of the party here. Black people are racist, white people are racist, black people don't wanna listen, white people don't wanna listen, but us as Christians, we have the ability to bridge the gap because we know our Father. And so tonight, we're gonna sing a song called The Blessing. And it's a song that's really near and dear to me, because I don't have kids yet. But one day I will, and I'll have to tell them, son, you're black. Right now, you might not be treated equally. Right now, you might have to clench when you walk down the street. Right now, you might have to sit a little bit tighter. Right now, you might have to put on a button-down shirt and talk properly, because white people or whoever else wants to say, they don't view you as equal. And that is a hard reality for me. But every time I sing this song, and it talks about singing it for my children and my children, this right now that's happening with race wars and race riots and race tension, we didn't do that. That's the generation, and the generation before. But I believe that maybe this generation could be the one to fix it. And so tonight, as we sing this song, I pray that your heart, I pray that you ask God to reveal any inkling in your heart that does not look like Jesus. That might be racism, it might be tension, it might be prejudice, whatever it is. And I'm praying that tonight you ask God to reveal something inside of you. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whoever you are, we all have parts in us that need a part of exposing. And so tonight as we sing this song, sing it for your kids, sing it for your grandkids, sing it for your great-grandkids, and pray that tonight that racism in Southeast Texas and Praise Church and PYA no longer exist. And so I'm honored. It is my pleasure to stand up here and say in a white church, as a black pastor, as a minority, that I love you. I hear you, white people. I hear you, black people. And we will be the generation that says we will bridge the gap. Because Christ got up on a cross and died for black, white, Asian, but all of that does not matter until right now when we sit here and say, God, expose the sin, the racism, the hurt in my life, and give me yours. And so can we sing that song, The Blessing? And all of you sing that from a spot and say, God, protect me, cover me, and guide me. Let's worship.
Shine upon you, be gracious to you. Lord, turn his face toward you and give you peace. Sing amen. Amen. Amen.
together with you. Why don't you go ahead and have a seat?
Well, PYA. Man, tonight is super special for me because God has been so good to me. And tonight I get a chance and I get an opportunity to speak in front of so many of you guys that I haven't had the chance to speak in front of. And tonight I feel like the Lord has really given me a word that I believe is in season, that I believe is directed not just to my heart, but to the hearts in the room that will feel filled and grow closer to God. And I really do, I'm excited because tonight has already been great, right? We had the pre-party with Catron food trucks, which was incredible, the Fat Philly cheesesteaks. We had the Kona ice trucks, which was great. That was fantastic. But there's so many of you guys that are here for the first time. And it's a massive blessing to me because I get a chance to see the fruit of a ministry that was passed from Jimmy and Josephine and Lindsay Long and so many other people that were well before me. And tonight I get a chance to stand before you guys and say, I am so excited for what's to come. And so tonight I want to pray real quick and then we'll get into it. So if you guys could just, for the next 25 minutes or so, allow for your heart to be extremely open, your ears to be extremely open, because I feel that not my words, but God's words have been spewing very loudly over the last couple of days to me. So I'm going to pray, and then we can get into it. God, thank you so much. God, thank you for what you're doing across the country and across the world. God, I pray that tonight would not look like me, would not look like my words, God, but it would look like yours. God, I pray that tonight we would radically encounter the Holy Spirit like never before, and that tonight would have a moment and an impact that would change the trajectory of our hearts and our steps. So God, use PYA as a vessel for your kingdom. Use this church as a vessel for your kingdom, and use tonight as an opportunity for us to grow closer to you. Amen. So, for you guys that don't know, I grew up, like I said, in Atlanta. I went to a place called Liberty University, and right before I became the pastor, I was a reporter. I worked at Channel 6 KFDM News in town, which was incredible, which is awesome. But then obviously now I'm here, so I'm no longer there. But in this time period, I have still had the longing and desire to do and keep up with news. And so all the current events that I've been looking at recently have been headlines, and they've been reading this thing that I don't believe to be true, but it says summer is canceled. And as an optimistic person as I am, I literally cannot believe the words summer is canceled. See, I actually believe that this summer will be the summer that we remember. The summer that we remember because of the memories that we make. See, the memories that I grew up making, and because I wanted to have a great summer, were jumping off the abandoned bridge and going to a bunch of Braves baseball games and going to Waffle House at 3 a.m. Those are the memories that I grew up wanting to have. And as I got a little bit older, the memories started shifting. The memories that I wanted during my summer were shotgunning beers and wanting to try smoking weed. And the memories that I wanted to do, instead of going to Waffle House, I wanted to go out to house parties. And those memories that I was trying to make were the memories that I wanted because I thought that, yeah, they'd make me cool, but because I thought when in 20, 15 years from now, me and a bunch of my friends are going to be sitting around the table and laughing about, man, these memories are great. But it's crazy because now, years after those wanting to have and longing for those desires, the memories that I have when I go to sleep at night or when I'm driving in the car are not memories of shotgunning beers and going out and hanging out. The memories are the ones of me making a long-lasting impact on someone's life. The memories that I think about before I go to sleep are the ones that I'm thinking about how somebody changed my life. And the reason why I have these memories is because they made an impact on me. They were long-lasting. And so I ask myself the question, well, why is it that these memories are the ones that I think about so often? And so Dr. Aiden Honer from UCL Institute of Cognitive Neuroscience in the UK. He says this. He says, when we call a previous life event, we have the ability to re-immerse ourselves in the experience. We remember the room we were in. We remember the music that was playing, the person we were talking to, and what they were saying. When we first experience the event, all the distinct aspects are represented in the different regions of the brain, yet we still are able to remember them later on. And it is in the hippocampus that is critical to this process, associating all the different aspects to the entire event so that it can be retrieved. And so I ask why? And see, it's because in our brain we have spots that our brain is attached to emotion, so that when we have these moments in our lives that we remember, it's because they're attached to spots where we have long-lasting impacts. The moments and the things that I remember long, 10 years, 15 years down the line from now, are because they are impacted moments deep in my emotion. That's the way my brain is created. All of our brains are created. It's why I'll never be able to forget my wedding day. Or many of you will never be able to forget you're graduating from college, or hitting your first home run, or scoring your first touchdown. But you are probably more likely to forget the moments where what you ate last night, or what you did last week. And it's not because those moments are not important. It's because the moments of graduating and getting married are long-lasting, impactful memories. And so tonight, I'm asking us to examine, what is it that this summer in 2020, what memories, what things are we going to do that are going to be impactful this summer? See, what if we looked back and we said, man, 2020 is going to be the summer that God literally showed up in Southeast Texas and we were in a move of God? Yeah. What if the memories this summer that we made were the moments where we said, man, I made an impact on somebody's life? What if the moments that we were in this summer, the memories that we made this summer, were the ones where we said, I'm going to disciple somebody? Yeah. That's the question that I want to ask myself. It's the memories that I think back on, like last summer, when I look at Bree Hawk, when I look at Isaiah, when I look at Kinder and Zach Hilton, and people that I did life with last year, and Abigail. Because I literally watched their lives transform last summer because people decided to get really intentional. I watched a group of people who had a lot more not in common than they did in common, and put everything off to the side and say, you know what? I'm going to heal you because I can see you're broken. I saw a group of people that said, you know what? I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get you closer to God, and so I'm going to step up and I'm going to be the leader in this group. I was in the group, but I didn't lead them like that. They did. Yeah. And now those people, Isaiah and Carly and Abigail and Bree, are leading you all. That's the memories that I remember from last summer. And the memories I'm going to remember from this summer are watching Jimmy Banks wake up every single morning at 8:15 and get on his knees in the chapel over there and pray for the people of Southeast Texas. The memories I'm going to remember this summer are not me doing something crazy or walking down the street. The memories I'm going to remember are tonight. 195 young adults in Southeast Texas that decided to show up on a Tuesday and experience God in the midst of COVID, in the midst of race. That's going to be important to me in 10 years. Nothing else, because I've been sitting in a room where I'm seeing people encounter Jesus. That's impactful. That's a memory that I'm going to have. And so I'm asking you, what memories are you making this summer? Yeah. That's good. What decisions are you making this summer to make an impact, not just in your life, but in someone else's life? See, I think that for me, as I live this life of trying to make memories, every single time, as I grow closer in my walk with God, I say, I want my memory to have Jesus in it. Yeah. I want my memory to have someone next to me, like my brother, my sister in Christ. I want somebody on there with me. See, the memories that Paul was making in the Bible with Timothy. In the Bible, Acts, Paul meets Timothy for the first time. And he's on his missionary journey, and he's walking around, and he's strolling in town, and he's sharing the gospel. And in that moment, he meets young Timothy. Timothy at this time is a baby Christian in his faith. But see, Paul here, he's sharing the gospel, and he's not on this mission to go and meet a Timothy. He's on this mission to share the gospel. But as he's sharing the gospel, he notices, he says, you know what? This is an opportunity for me to go ahead and grab somebody and pull them along with me. And so he saw potential in somebody. So he said, Timothy, come with me. Come along with me for the journey. And so Paul and Timothy, they go on, but something changes. Because the way that Paul talks about Timothy in Acts is he's calling him a stranger. And then everything between Acts and 1 Timothy, he starts going from coworker, he calls him a brother, he calls him a son. And he uses these wordings because he's trying to describe the closeness and the relationship that he built with him over a long period of time. See, the relationship that Paul and Timothy created was one of brotherhood, of relationship. And I'm sure there was plenty of times when Paul was walking with Timothy on these journeys when they talked about life, when they talked about food, they talked about work. I'm sure they talked about a ton of other stuff. But the one thing that Paul was extremely intentional about with him was the gospel. See, Timothy's life had to change because at one point, Paul started saying, hey, come with me, to hey, now you're leading. Something had to transfer in his head to say, hey, I need you to come along with me because now you're up. Now I want you to lead. And in 1 Timothy, the words that he says are so clear. It's a couple of verses, but Paul is literally quoting him and saying, you are the future now. And so in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verses 11 and 12, he says this, tell people that this is what they must do. Let no one show little respect for you because you are young. Show other Christians how to live by your life. They should be able to follow you in the way that you talk and what you do. Show them how to live in faith and in love and in holy living. So the question I ask is, what happened in between? Because remember, Paul was a baby believer in Christ. He wasn't always leading these big churches. But the question and the answer is someone got intentional. Someone cared. Someone reached out. Someone invited him to come along for the journey. And because of that, now he was the lead. He was the person in charge now. See, Paul was thinking bigger than himself in those moments. Paul was thinking about the future. So he said, Timothy, if I can get a hold of you, I know that you can get a hold of 2 or 3 that I will never be able to get a hand of. And because of that, Timothy got a hold of 3 or 4. And so then Timothy couldn't get a hold of the extra craft because the next person did. See, that right there is the advancing of the gospel. Paul talks about it in Ephesians of saying, I'm equipping you for the works of ministry. Paul is living that out right there by saying, come with me. Come along for this journey. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to talk about life. I'm going to do all the things, but I need you to get this grip and understand the gospel because once you get that, I'm going to send you out. And that's the memory that Paul and Timothy have in their summer relationship. That's the memories that I want us to have this summer. That's the memories that are impactful. Those will be the ones that you remember in 10 years. Those will be the memories this summer that you will look back on and say, that made a difference. See, Paul here gives him the gospel and he gives it to him, and because of that, that is discipleship. See, discipleship starts with the gospel. And tonight, this room is split into multiple different halves and parts. We've got a lot of people here that know the gospel and that are living it, and that's amazing and that's incredible. But the reality of it is there's a lot of you in this room who do not know the gospel or who have walked away from it. And so for the people that know the gospel, share it. Share it boldly, share it confidently, share it gracefully. And for the people that don't know the gospel is freeing. The gospel is life-giving. The gospel is the ability for seeing God for who he truly is. The gospel gives me the opportunity and for me to look at you and say, you're my brother, you're my sister. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what you did last week. It doesn't matter what you did last summer. The gospel changes everything, and the gospel brings us all together. See, once we get a hold of the gospel, we have an opportunity to disciple, and that is it. This Christian faith is nothing without the gospel. So once we get a hold of that, it allows for us to then move forward and empower and push people. See, the gospel is a crazy thing. Because the gospel says that Jesus knows every hair on my head. And he knew me in my mother's womb long before any moment of me standing up on the stage, or before I went to school, or before I did anything else in my life. The gospel says that Jesus is my friend. He's my father. And the gospel is Jesus living a perfect life. Coming here on this earth to live a perfect life for you, and for you, and for you, and for you, and for me. Knowing that I'm broken, knowing that I'm sinful, knowing that I have moments where I shortcome and I fall asleep. And so for the person in the room who's watching porn, for the person who's cheating on their girlfriend, for the person who's sleeping around with their boyfriend, the gospel is for you too.
Come on.
The gospel is an invitation, and it's an open opportunity for everyone. Once you understand that Jesus got up on a cross and was beaten for hours for you and for you and for you, in the midst of your sin and your brokenness and the abilities and the moments where you can't breathe and talk about anything else, the gospel was for you. And in those moments when I'm helpless and I have no words, and in those moments where I don't know what the next step is for me, the gospel always comes through. And so the gospel has to be shared. The gospel has to be elevated. The gospel has to be shouted from every rooftop. The gospel has to be something that we're willing to die for and say, you know what? I am dying for this cause. Because if it doesn't get out, we'll never get better. The gospel heals us. The gospel brings us closer. The gospel is literally the thing that wakes me up in the morning and says, God, I need you. And so I can't understand the gospel until I say, God, I'm broken, I'm a sinner, I repent, I need you. And God, reveal the parts of my heart that are broken because I need you. And in those moments, God always answers. And that's an invitation for every single one of you. Any single person in this room that says, man, well, I'm not good enough. Oh, man, well, I'm not welcome. Oh, man, whoever you are, the gospel is for you. And so what if this summer, we use this summer to get a chance to advance the gospel? That's why we have a thing right here called PYA. We're willing to literally do whatever it takes to get people in the door, because we know that if you get in the door, the gospel will be heard. And then once you hear the gospel, the Holy Spirit will do the rest. So we'll have a food truck. We'll have Kona Ice. We'll promote it as a big event on Facebook or on Twitter, on Instagram. Why? So that once you get in the door, you can invite your friend, you can have anybody else feel welcome when they come in here, and once they get in here, the gospel will be heard. That's why we tell small group leaders, have a clean house, invite a meal, so that when somebody comes to your house, they feel welcome, they feel invited, because we are willing here at PYA and at this church to say, you know what? Every single young adult in Southeast Texas will know the gospel. And until that happens, I will not stop screaming it from the rooftop. I will not stop inviting food trucks. I will not stop texting you. I will not stop doing it. And it's not just me, it's so many of you in this room. And it doesn't stop there. It goes to Lamar. It goes to your workplace. That's the gospel. It's advancement. It's moving forward. That's what Paul did. That's the words of Ephesians. That's the memories we make this summer. It's getting into a small group. Not because it's fun, but because you need it. You need the gospel to move inside your life and transform you and heal you and piece you back together. So what if this summer we had the opportunity to say, you know what? I want to be discipled by somebody. I want to move forward. I want to be pieced back together. What if this summer we spent hours with someone? What if this summer we saw it through with somebody until they got healed from the breakup? What if this summer we sat down with somebody and we actually asked them, what is it like to be black? What if we asked them, how are you and your family doing in the midst of a divorce? What if we had conversations that actually matter and we got rid of surface level Christianity and we got to the point and said, I want to know how you are doing right now. And that happens when we understand the gospel. It happens when we say, I'm willing to sacrifice my summer, I'm willing to sacrifice my days for the advancement of the gospel. So don't stop inviting that person to church. You cannot stop praying for that person. You can't give up on them. You have to hold them accountable because that matters, and I promise you, it will make a difference. You might not see it today, you might not see it tomorrow, but it will make a difference because in 10 years, they will think back on the impact and the memory that you gave them. The memory of saying, I am willing to do whatever it takes for you to hear this. The memory I want to make this summer is seeing non-believers into disciples. I want to see that, and I know so many of you do too, but it starts with the gospel. It starts with intentionality. It starts with asking questions. It starts with you. See, this room is, it's broken to so many parts because we've got people who are graduating from high school or haven't or graduated yet. And so they're probably here sitting like, oh man, I don't belong here, or I don't feel welcome. And we've got college kids that are home for the summer that aren't usually here and they feel isolated. And we've got people that probably experienced Jesus or took a break from Jesus in the 3 months or 4 months of COVID. And so tonight, I'm inviting all of those areas of people who feel lost, isolated, who are looking for a house and looking for you. And I'm inviting them, the first one to say it, or I'm the 10th person to say it, and say, welcome home. You are welcome here. If you're looking, if you're longing, if you're looking for a relationship, or if you're looking for something, this is your house, this is your home. Welcome home. And it's an invitation. And I'm confident in the small group leaders. I'm confident in the relationships here. I'm confident in you guys because I know the hearts of you. I know that the gospel, it moves and it transforms our lives. See, the gospel is an opportunity for us to say, I will do whatever it takes to get that person from here to there. Discipleship is an opportunity to say, I'm going to get that person from here to there. And so God created me and He created you for the opportunity to say, I'm willing to get as close to you as possible. And I think about my life, and I think about the people that I'm looking at in here, and honestly, as a black man in Southeast Texas, I look out and say that if I want to see racism stop, if I want to see looting stop, if I want to see rioting stop, it starts with the gospel. Because it will never stop because it's a sin problem. It's rooted. And so the only way that can transform sin is the gospel. Which means you've got to share it. You've got to share it. And I have to swallow it and say, hurt people have to be healed, not by my words, but by the gospel. That's good. Yeah. And people who hate one another have to be healed and have to stop hating not by my words and not by an Instagram post, but by the gospel. And until we can get to the gospel being on every tongue and on every mouth and on every head, we're not going to remove the sin inside of our hearts that we call racism. It's the gospel that is important. See, Jesus had to come to this earth and live a perfect life because if without that, we have no step forward, we have no movement forward, we have no chance. But Jesus gave it all. Jesus gave his son. And the sacrifice that we see on the cross is Jesus saying, I'm willing to die for you. Are you willing to die for me? Are you willing to sacrifice your pride? Are you willing to let go of some of your friends? Are you willing to let go of drinking? Are you willing to let go of little Woodrows? Are you willing to let go of the ex-boyfriend or the girlfriend? Are you willing to let go of whatever it is that's holding you back from me? Because until you can take away from that, there's nothing that you can do to move forward. See, the gospel brings me closer to God. But I move closer to God not because of anything that I have to do, but because every time something happens, I look at what God has already done. See, what brings me closer to God is his kindness. What brings me closer to God is his grace and his mercy. What brings me closer to God is you all in community. That's what brings me closer to God. And it's nothing that I did, but because of what he already did, my natural step and reaction is to act. It's not me doing anything, but my next step is to do something because he already did something. I have to, because the gospel pushes me and propels me to get there. I think back to Darrian, who graduated out of college 2 months, and he moves to Texas, and he gets a call from his job, and they say, probably the worst thing that you can tell a college kid straight out of school, you can't take a vacation for 6 months. I was like, oh, this sucks. I mean, that was something that I was not expecting. And I remember thinking, okay, well, once I got over it, I remember thinking, well, I guess now I have 6 months to plan a vacation. And so, it's funny, I know. I was like, well, whatever. But in that process of me planning this vacation, I remember researching every single thing that I can think of. Every restaurant, I knew the weather. I remember sitting in my cubicle and every single month thinking, man, this is gonna be the best vacation ever. And what it was in that moment is I was thinking, okay, if I know everything that's gonna happen, if I know what the weather's gonna look like, I can plan for all my friends to be there. And it was in that moment I was realizing and I was thinking to myself that every single time that I think about something being super far away, the closer that I get to it, the more that I want it. And I remember thinking as I'm planning out this vacation, 1 month goes by, 2 months go by, I become so eager and so excited because I'm about to get closer to this vacation. Because I had my eyes set on something that once I got about a month and a half into it, there was nothing that anybody else could say or do that could distract me from this. So I remember sitting there and thinking, people telling me about work or people telling me about this or that, and I was like, I don't want to do it. Because I'm focused on my vacation. I was focused on something that was so far ahead of me that the only thing that mattered was doing that. Because I had done the research, I had done the time, I was so invested in it that nothing else on the left or to the right mattered. And so I remember being 5 days away from my vacation and thinking to myself, this is so close. And 6 months ago, I thought I was so far. And now that it's right in front of my face, I want it even more. And so every single day, I remember thinking, man, I just got to keep moving. I want to get closer. I want to get closer. I want to get closer. And I got the vacation, and it was great. It was awesome. But I now think back on it, and I say, that is the way that I want to live my life for the gospel. That it's so far away right now, but every day that I get older, I'm getting closer to God. I've done the research. I've had the friends. I've been so focused in that nothing to the left or to the right of me matters because the only thing that I want is heaven, and the only way I'm going to get it is by acknowledging and saying, God, you are king, and I need you. That moment right there, everything clicked because it said, God, I need you more than I need myself, and I need you more than anything else. And because, God, I see you, I want to get closer to you. And I was willing, and it was hard, But I look back and I say, man, I wish I would have brought some friends with me. I wish I would have told some more people about it, because if they would have been that close to Jesus, they would have been that close to the opportunity to go straight, then I could have pulled them with me. But tonight, we have the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm not doing this alone. I've got friends, I've got family members, I got a small group, and I want them to get just as close to the thing that's so far away right now, but every single day I'm going to get closer. And as closer I get, the more that I want it. And so tonight, I want us to remember that the memories that we can make this summer are the ones that are us getting closer to God. What if the memories that we made this summer were the ones that said, God, I'm willing to remove myself away from some things because I'm willing to get closer to you? What if the memories and the moments that we made this summer look like us saying, I'm going to disciple somebody? What if the memories and the impact and the thoughts that we had this summer were us saying, God, whatever it is that's inside of my heart, remove it because I want to get closer to you? What if the things that we did this summer had a long-lasting impact on our life, and not just ours, but the person that we chose to say, come with me?
Yeah, that's good.
Come to small group. Come to the grocery store with me. Come hang out with me. See, it's these moments that we'll remember. It's these moments that will burden us in our hearts and say, I knew God, and because I knew God and because I knew the gospel, I'm bringing somebody else with me. That's equipping the saints for ministry. That's the gospel. Saying, I'm broken, I'm a sinner, God, I need you. Take every inch of me and use me for whatever it is you have. And so tonight I want to invite every single person in here who doesn't feel welcome, who feels like they've done too wrong, they've done too many things in the past, to say, I'm not good enough for the gospel. Because I was that kid. I've been on both sides, where I was too good for the gospel and I was too bad for the gospel. And on both sides of them, God meets me where I'm at. And I was joyful, I was fearful, I was sad, I was happy, I believed, didn't believe, but every single time the gospel met me exactly where I was at. And so tonight, I believe that we have an opportunity to respond and say, God, wherever I'm at on the spectrum, Christ, sold out, firm believer, grew up in VBS, or full-on atheist, and I'm just here because there's a hot girl here. Wherever you're at on the spectrum, I believe that Jesus tonight is saying, I give you everything. What will you do for me? I want the gospel in your life. I believe that. And so if it's fear, if it's shame, it can go to hell. If it's doubt, if it's anxiety, it can go to hell too. Because the gospel is bigger than that. The gospel transforms. The gospel heals. The gospel gets down and says, I need you. I want you. And whatever it takes, I'm going to get in somebody's mess. I'm going to get into an opportunity. And I want you at whatever cost it is. And so tonight, I'm begging and I'm asking for the gospel to literally say, I want you. Jesus, examine my heart. Please, for whatever it's worth, I need something to change me. Because discipleship is something that I need. Community is something that I need. A friend is something that I need. A mentor is something that I need. But what I really need is the gospel. And I want that tonight. And so we're going to sing 2 songs. And in these 2 songs, it's going to go really quick. It's going to be 2 songs that allow for us to reflect on what the gospel has done in your life and in my life. And it's going to be one of those moments where we say, Jesus, take me, use me. Because the voice that I've heard for so many of you guys, the excuse that I've heard in my life is that I can't get connected because I'm not in the church. During COVID, I didn't want to be in a small group because it wasn't the same as being in worship. I didn't have PYA to get connected to. Well, there's no more excuses for that anymore. We're here. We're back. We're back in the building. We're about to sing worship. It's about to get in it. And tonight is a moment for you to say, God, I'm connecting to you. So I'm asking that you invite the gospel into your heart. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be something as simple as this. God, I need you. I want you. I'm a sinner. I'm broken. And please reveal the moments and the aching itches in my heart that I need to be healed by the gospel. And my next step to that would be get into a small group. Get somebody to do life with you, to get into your mess with you. Because without that, it's nothing. We need it, guys. We need the gospel. We need our heart to be transformed. So tonight, in these next two songs, I pray that we have a moment where we say, God, whatever your will is, let it be done. Let it be done in my life. Let it be done in PYA. Let it be done in Southeast Texas. Because I need you and I need the gospel. So let's worship you.
You were the word at the beginning, one with God the Lord Most High.
gave him the name that is above every other name, that the sound of Jesus' name every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. He gave him this power because he is worthy, he is infinite, he is our matchless King. So tonight, as we reflect on that, let your outpour of worship reflect your inner view of Jesus. So come on, everybody, sing this with me. Our Father God, the infinite, the matchless King, magnificent, the living Christ, the servant Son, the prophesied, the saving one, the Holy Ghost, gift from above, the faithful friend, the seal of love, this life, this heart, this soul to Him, my all and all, my everything. Our Father God, the infinite, the matchless King, magnificent, the saving Christ, the servant Son, the prophesied, the saving one,
So, my friend Matt came over to me and said, I think there's people probably in here that want to give their life over to Jesus tonight. And I believe that. And so what I'm going to do, it's not on the script. It's going to be really quick. I'm not going to make it long or drawn out. But I'm going to offer a moment for you, whoever you are in this room, that maybe something tonight spoke to you that I said, or somebody greeting you spoke to you and said, man, I feel like my time at college or my time wherever it was, and yeah, I'm here home for the summer, but what if I really came home? What if I really came home to my Father tonight? So what I'm going to do, it's bold, but I'm going to offer an invitation for somebody to receive Jesus, fully knowing Him in his heart. So I'm going to ask everybody to close their eyes. And you can peek if you want to, I don't care, but the moment right now is for you. So if you're in this room and you have a heart that's saying and it's tugging right now, and you're saying, Jesus, I want to know who you are. Because I know that I'm broken. I know that I'm sinful. I know that I have hurt. And I know that I have transgressions. And I know that I have things in my life that I'm not proud of and I'm not necessarily going to brag about. But I need somebody because I got nothing. I tried drugs, I tried alcohol, I tried sex, but right now I just need you and I need the gospel. So if this is you, on 3, I'm going to count, and you just raise your hand, whether it's you deciding that you want to recommit your life, you've been a Bible-believing Christian in your entire life, and tonight you said, I want something new, because what I got ain't it. Or maybe you're on the other side and you say, I've never been to anything like this before. Or every time I've come in the past, nothing really made any sense, and tonight it did. I want you to raise your hand. So on 3, I'm going to count, and you raise your hand if tonight you were saying, Jesus, I want you. I need the gospel. So 1, Jesus is in love with you, and he wants you so much right now. 2, God, I'm so broken, I am sad, but I need something more than what I have right now. Give me yourself right now, Jesus. 3, raise your hand if you want Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, amen. Come on, man. People are getting saved, yeah. That's something to yell about. That's something to be happy about. That's something to scream about. That's something to be excited about. That's people in our family now. That's exciting. So here's what I'm going to do. Before I bless you all, or pronounce a blessing over you, I want to speak to the people that decided to raise their hand. Don't leave this church without meeting somebody, telling somebody that you made a decision to make an eternal difference. And if you peeked, find the person that raised their hand and search them. Literally get them, have them fill out a card, get their phone number, take them out to lunch, take them, whatever it is. Make the impactful moment this summer and give them the gospel, give them the discipleship. So the last thing is this, tonight we're going to do something we've never done before. We're going to leave the auditorium open, and we're going to have worship and a time of prayer. Because I do believe now that there's some people that didn't raise their hand, or maybe they want something more, maybe they want a time where they want to pray with somebody because they've been dealing with some stuff. And so we're going to have our prayer partners that are going to come down to the front, and it's coaches. They're old, they're young, they're friends. And they're going to pray for you, but we're going to have the auditorium, the lights are going to be down, the music's going to be loud, and we're going to pray and worship for the next 15, 20 minutes or so. And so if you've got to go, you're more than welcome to. There's no shame in that. But if you do go, I ask that you sign up and get plugged into a small group. There's small group leaders out there that want to do life with you this summer. But if you want to stay here, I ask that you ask God again, give me more, because I need you tonight. So I'm going to pronounce the blessing, and if this is you, you're more than welcome to leave after this, and if you want to stay, you're more than welcome to stay as well. The prayer partners, you guys can come down to the front now, and we'll go from there. So may the Lord bless you and keep you. Let the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Let the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. And God, I pray that you transform our lives tonight and give us more than we've ever known before. In your name I pray, amen. Be blessed, PYA. If you want to stay, you're more than welcome to in the next minute or two, but if not, so good to see you guys. Have a good night.